Okay, guys, truth's coming out. I knew there was more to the story. These officers dropped the ball on this. They screwed up big time. And they knew they did, and they were trying to cover their ass by giving these bullshit stories that even they couldn't keep together to keep their lies straight. Just go over a few of them. Anybody stopped the gunman from getting in the school? First thing was said, he met the school officer. They exchanged fire, and he went in the school. Then it was, he met the school officer. They exchanged fire. Officer was injured, and then he went to school. Now it's, he did not. There was no fires exchanged between the officer and the suspect. The gap between attacker arriving and when he went inside, and then all of a sudden there was no gap when he went inside. Again, on the day of the situation, there's going to be some not knowns. But as you investigate more, you should have the true story and not a story to cover your ass that you messed up and you pissed a lot of people off. Okay, barricaded versus pinned down. I reported the police had him pinned down in a classroom. Pinned down is exchanging shots or physically making it impossible for him to leave that area. Then it was, he barricaded himself in there. Which one was it? Body armor versus no body armor. I'll let that slide. He did have a vest on. Had no plates. He just used it to carry his extra mags. Make an entry or not make an entry. That has changed multiple times by the number of officers that was involved and when they were involved. So we have the commander coming out saying he made the wrong decision. Well, dumb shit. I could have told you made the wrong decision when you made that decision. You did not make a decision on what was known at the time. The 911 call came in about shooting his grandmother. He opened fire on 2 individuals that were coming down to see if he was okay. According to them, he opened fire outside in the parking lot before he went into the school. Honestly, I don't know what to believe. We did find out why the door was open. He didn't just happen to find an unlocked door. It was propped open. Teacher did not identify him. He was seen on the video propping the door open at 11:27. So they have video. The school, they have cameras everywhere. And then and there was no reason why given why he propped the door open. Well, that's kind of some important information there. Let's go through the timeline. Okay, 11:28. Approximately 11:28. It's when he crashed his pickup into the ditch. Then they're saying shortly after is when he fired upon the 2 funeral home employees coming down to check if he was okay. Okay, here's this infamous school officer. Was he there? Wasn't he there? Did he shoot? Did he not shoot? Well, I guess they're sticking with their last story. He did not exchange shots. What he was doing was pursuing another person he thought was the suspect, but was a teacher. Now, I don't know about you. If somebody's walking calmly and after you hear gunfire, that might be a clue you might want to take into consideration. Now, if this teacher was running, I give the officer a little bit more slack because somebody running is kind of suspicious. But if this teacher was running out because there were gunshots, that's just disgusting. Well, while he was chasing his teacher, he drove right by the suspect, hunkered down by a vehicle. And right after, when he drove by, they're saying that's when the suspect started shooting at the school. Call that another clue. If you're that school resource officer and you're chasing somebody, following somebody that you may think is the subject, and you're hearing gunshots, and this person you're chasing, following, has no gun in hand, that's a clue. The gunshots were coming from behind you. Now, I want to know, where'd this officer go when this kid was shooting at the school from outside? Did he tuck his tail between his legs and run? He entered the building 11:33 through the open door that was left open, propped open. Now they have 2 local officers entering at 11:35. The report was they were taking fire. Okay. Taking fire and getting hit by fire is 2 different things. Taking fire, somebody shooting at you. Being hit and being out of the fight is a different story. I'll just give you a little insight of probably what happened. These officers were chasing this suspect. This suspect turned around, started firing bullets their way. They pissed their little pink panties, and they ran out of school because they were being shot at. But yet they had the vests, guns. I understand it was only 2 guys, But even if you have to go in alone, you know who's in that school. You know if he gets into that school, bad things are probably going to happen. Now they're saying 12:03, half an hour. It's a half an hour now. This crazed lunatic has been in this school for half an hour. They had 19 officers that was stacked up in the hallway by the classroom the subject was barricaded in. I call bullshit. Until you release the video and show these 19 cops, these officers in that hallway, I say bullshit. There was 19 cops outside holding parents back, but I don't believe there was 19 cops in that hallway. 12:10, U.S. Marshal Service, another government waste. They arrived. They traveled 70 miles. So they were in Del Rio, Texas. They had, even at that time, they would have had more than enough officers and firepower to go in. Now the reason they're giving, I guess why the 19 officers in the hallway, supposedly 19 officers in the hallways didn't go in because it was barricaded, which ended up being the door was locked. Okay, I'm going to give you a little hint. I don't know if they teach this in your little police school. I seen men there with ARs. I know you guys run good ammunition through them because the taxpayer buys them, buys the ARs, buys the ammunition. Some well-placed shots on that door would have took that lock out. You're not getting into a bank vault. You're getting into a school classroom. BORTAC, Border Patrol SWAT team, basically. They entered school at 12:45. An hour later, over an hour later, they let this guy, this kid, be in this school for over an hour while they were hearing gunshots and stood outside like the pussies they are and held back parents that were braver than they are. Breached the door at 12:50. That's when we learned they had to use a key given by the school janitor. That I heard him firing before they breached the classroom. This is when it comes to the part that makes me sick. That classroom was full of little kids. You had 2 students call 911. They were doing what they were probably taught. There's an emergency, you dial 911. The police will come save you. Well, unfortunately, a bunch of pansy cops showed up and was too afraid to go in and maybe take some rounds to save kids. The on-scene McCraw, I guess he was the on-scene commander. Mr. Trooper McCraw, maybe your hat's on too tight. Maybe you're just fucking stupid. He believed it was a barricade subject situation. Okay. Close another clue. If you have a guy that has shot somebody at his house, which you would have had that call by now, shot at people outside at the funeral home, and according to this, was shooting at the school before he went in. Now, if you thought he was going to go in there and barricade himself in and take hostages, your thought process was wrong. This kid already showed that he was willing to take lives, and he had no problem with doing so. First call from a little kid, 12:03. Call lasted 1 minute 23 seconds. I can only imagine what these kids were feeling in that room when this was going on. She told operators where she was at, and she was whispering. Who she was, where she was at, and she was whispering. Okay. You know where she's at. She's at the scene where all this action's taking place. She's whispering. So also she's hiding. She doesn't want to be found. And that is half an hour after the gunman entered the school. According to this timeline, the officers say they did not know when the gunman did what he did in that room. But according to this timeline, he was in that room a half an hour before he started doing what he did. 12:10, she called again. There were multiple people dead. Three minutes later, 12:13, she calls again. And another 3 minutes later, she calls again at 12:16, saying that 8 to 9 students were alive. Can you imagine, even as an adult, let alone a kid, you're in this room, you're hiding, you're watching your friends get shot, you're watching their friends bleed out, you're asking for help. Unfortunately, they send the pink panty wearing police that don't want to do their job, and then they're congratulating all law enforcement on the job they did. "20 minutes later, another call came in. And during that call, they heard 2-3 shots. 12:47, she called back, asking to send police now. At this point in time, the officers outside are hearing gunshots. May have been hearing screams. as a human being, I don't know how you were able to stand out there and listen to that, knowing fourth graders were in that school and probably losing their lives. Every one of them cops that stood out there and held them parents back, you are fucking pussies. Get out of the job. If you're okay with writing tickets for speeding, seatbelt, oh, you have a headlight out, we're going to fine you. We're going to take money off you. You know, so you can't buy food with it or whatever. But when it comes to going in and actually saving lives, they chose to. It was each one of their individual decisions. I don't care what the commanding officer said. I don't care what they were told about standing down. They made the choice to stand out there and not do nothing. It was their choice. And I hope they feel great living with that the rest of their lives, knowing that the situation may have been a lot different if they acted within a 15-20 minute time window, not an hour later. Because according to the time window, so girl said people weren't dying until later than 12:03. $12:51. That's when Bortak entered the room. Got very loud. He said it sounded like officers were getting children from the classroom. 2 children are called 911. Both survived. Them children's lives are ruined because of what they had to hear and see, because them police were incompetent and they didn't want to do their job. Cross said it was the wrong decision, period. And if I was a parent that lost a child, and you come up to me and say, I made the wrong decision, you think that's going to heal anything? He was in there for over an hour in that school. He was pursued by at least 2 officers that took fire. And them officers chose to run out instead of maybe at least pinning the subject down to give teachers in school enough time to lock doors so you couldn't get in. Or did they basically force this subject into this room and say, we have him contained in a classroom? Either way, wrong decision. The commander said he believes it was a barricaded subject situation instead of an active shooter. He believe the children were not at risk. This dude's hat's on too tight. I don't know. You're standing outside, you're hearing gunshots, and you don't think the children is at risk? How long have you been a policeman? Because you know what? If there's a shooting somewhere else, I sure in hell don't want you or any of your pussy gang that show up. Because I'd be better off calling friends that has guns, that has balls, that will go in and do something while you stand outside and pee your pants and hide behind cover and call in hundreds of reinforcements, get your ballistic shield before you do something. Confirmed that the agents and the law enforcement officers were held back from engaging the shooter. Wrong decision. Very stupid decision. It's what he knew at that time. I don't know how he came to that conclusion. Besides, he's stupid. My last video I did, I showed a video that was shot outside when the police was holding parents back, parents now, back from going into school and saving their children, all under the guise of public safety. We want to minimize casualties. So how'd that work out for you? While you stood outside, were you minimizing casualties? Yeah. You can go home at night. But what about all them little children that were in that room who lost their life and will not be going home tonight because you made the individual decision to stay outside and not do nothing besides hold parents back? One mother shared they were demanding the cops go in and do something. One of these pussy patrol cops out there in the front handcuffed this lady, okay? A mother. Because she was being too aggressive in telling the police, the cops, to go in and do something. A mother. You have vests. You had long guns. You have your bat belt with all your bat toys, with your tasers and your batons and your OC spray, whatever you carry with you. And it's sad that this mother had more balls than you guys did standing out there, and she was willing to go in there with nothing. And she did go in there. She talked to a local cop during this whole situation. I commend the cop. He took the handcuffs off her. That was at least one good decision that was made. While they were engaged with people keeping other people back, she ran, jumped the fence, went in that school, and got kids out. A mother, unarmed, no body armor, nothing to protect herself. Went in that school to risk her life, knowing that she may not make it out of there. But you know what? If she didn't do that, she would have to live with that the rest of her life. And she did make it out of there with her child. At least her child. I don't know if she brought more. I'm hoping she brought more, as many as she could bring out. I'm hoping she just didn't go in for her kid. Now, why all this was happening? You had enough cops there that was able to go around, bust windows out, get kids out the window. Great. Less targets in there, less victims. But if your officers would have engaged subject, I'm guessing most of the kids would have been under their desk on the ground. You don't even have to shoot that level. You could have been shooting the ceiling. You engage that suspect. You make him waste his ammo on you, shooting at you, because you know he's eventually going to run out. And long as his attention is focused on you, it's not focused on them kids that had no protection at all. I don't know what they teach in police academy these days, but it's basically taught that your life as an officer matters most. As long as you go home at night, forget about these other citizens. They're nobodies. That's why you see a big change in policing from 10, 20 years ago to what you see now. These guys are taught the first thing they want to do, pull the gun, shoot, because when they do that, at least they know they'll be going home. It don't matter who's on the other side of the wall they're shooting at. They don't care. It's as long as they get to go home. Policing used to be a really respected profession. Cops wonder why. They're so disconnected from community members. It's situations like these, like this, that makes this happen. All officers bad? No. I know a lot of great officers that would give their life if they could save a life. Unfortunately, that's not the main thought. That's not what most officers think of nowadays. They did a breakdown, ammunition he had. This would be another clue. Your officers were searching the truck while this was going on. I seen the video of it. Of total, he had 58 magazines. 58. He had 3 on him when he died. So he had at least 90 rounds. Because one would have been in the gun, so that would have been 4. But I don't know how many he wasted in the gun. 2 were found in classroom 112. 6 were in classroom 111. Of the ones found in the classroom, 5 were on the ground and 1 was in the rifle. So while he was in that classroom, he fired at least 5 mags. And he had 1 in the rifle with not knowing how many rounds was left in there. But he still had 3 more on him. There was additional 32 magazines outside of the school. So that means he dumped or forgot or dropped another 32 mags. It was still on school property. It was in a backpack. No, one was just outside the building. So just outside the building. Another 15 mags was left at the truck crash. And then he had 2 more magazines at home. That was not among the 58, so in total he purchased 1,657 rounds. I want to say more than that, because if he practiced shooting, or at least shot the gun a couple times, you have more rounds than that. They found 315 inside the building. 142 of them were shot, were spent. So within that hour time period he was in that school, he shot 142 times. Why these cops stood out there and heard every one of these shots and chose to not go in. I don't know what to say. I'm sure more stuff will come out. I would love them to release video, because as of this time, they've changed their story so much, I don't believe a damn thing they say. Even with the government, I don't believe a damn thing they would say, even if they don't change their story. We've all encountered that in the last 2 years. You know, they change their story all the time. This kid bought these guns legally. He probably spent, I would say, probably at least $4,000 total. I know he had a Daniel defense, which was, it's listed as $1,800, we'll say $1,500 at the gun store. He had another one. They're saying it was a Smith & Wesson M&P, which is a cheaper gun. Plus all the rounds and all the mags he had to buy. So we're saying at least $4,000. Ammunition isn't cheap nowadays. They didn't know in that household that this kid just bought $4,000 worth of guns, ammunition, mags. Maybe they didn't. I don't know. Point of this video is, they screwed up big time. They know they screwed up. Sad thing is, their defense is going to be One, I was following orders. We heard that during the Nuremberg trials. I was only following orders. I didn't want to do it, but I was following orders. Two, Supreme Court ruled police have no duty to act. They have no duty to protect you. They can stand there and watch you get stabbed and not do nothing. And they can't be held accountable for that because they have no duty to act. Why do we have police? I understand the main reason: crime. But people that get in this profession, it's now seems to be even the younger kids. They want all the glare of wearing the badge, carrying the gun. You do what I say. The judge will believe me more than they believe you. If you say this, I'm going to say you're resisting. If you say this, I'm going to say you're disorderly conduct. They just get off on the thrill of having that badge and be able to go around and tell people what to do. The older guys that has been policemen for a while, usually them are the ones that show respect. They will respect you. They will be honest with you. They won't do anything, to disrespect you at all. I know more stuff's going to come out. This is just what was released now. I had to do another video because on them press conferences, when they kept on changing their story, I knew they were lying. If you can't stick to one story, you're lying. Keep your facts straight if you're going to lie. If you don't know nothing about the situation, you report, I do not know nothing at this time, or I have not been briefed on a situation at this time. You do not make up an answer. Like he encountered this school officer, then he encountered a school officer and they exchanged shots. And now he didn't encounter the school officer because the officer was busy chasing a teacher that he thought was the suspect. What makes it even more sickening is the old great Biden said the DOJ will not investigate this. That right there is a kick to them parents that are already down. It's government protecting government. They don't want it to get out they screwed up. They want to be able to have more government so they can cost you more money. But yet, don't have no duty to protect you. So when an officer says he's there to protect you, he may be a good cop. He may be there to protect you. But also, he's there on his own free will. He could leave at any time and not be held accountable for it. This is a longer video. had to cover this stuff as more stuff came out. I don't believe this is all of it. I believe more is going to come out. More showing how the police fucked up and they didn't do their job of protecting innocent children because they were too scared to go against one guy with a gun, and they could have took in 3, 4, 5 guys with guns. Way better guns, probably. Way better ammunition. But they chose to stand outside and keep parents away. I hope that town stands up because it was wrong. They did not protect your kids. The school, I'm going to say the school failed, but no, it would be the teacher failed propping the door open. If all doors are locked, which being they probably are, being they were locked down status 48 times, 47 times because of Border Patrol chasing people. So I imagine all doors were locked. Did that one teacher know by propping the door open that this was going to happen? I sure hope not. But all it takes is one mistake, and then incompetent government to come in and for a tragedy like this to happen. I believe if them parents went in there, this would have ended a lot different than what it did. But unfortunately, the government doesn't want you to show them up. They don't want you to show that you can do their job better. They want you to keep them around. Till more comes out, guys, I'm going to end that there. It's nice the commander said he made a wrong decision. I'm sure that will heal so many hearts. I hope you lose your job, resign from your job, because you and them officers that chose to stand outside do not deserve to be an officer. You guys should be working somewhere where there's no danger, you won't get hurt, then you can stand outside and do nothing. It's disgusting. Texas officers, you fucked this up big time. And the word's getting out. I feel sorry if videos start getting released. We'll find out the real truth. Anyways, thank you guys.